Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us at today's presentation, demo presentation for the Eplan Pro panel and smart wiring application. So we will begin with a little bit of background. My name is Sergio Brinkhouse, and I'll be more than happy to show you this amazing application that we have to offer you today. Before I begin, I'd just like to let you guys know all that we are looking forward for your feedback. We really want to we would appreciate the information that you guys can provide to us about this experience that you've had today. And also, there will be a raffle at the end, and there's really interesting prizes that we have for offer you. All right. So, any questions also that you guys might have, feel free to add it into the chat inside this presentation. We'll take a few minutes at the end to answer some questions. And of course, you can always join the lobby area inside the virtual fair, the networking area as well. We have some technical team members that will be more than happy to give you some inside information about the different products that you're seeing here today. All right. So for today's presentation, one of the benefits of having a prototyped 3D design application embedded inside the tool based on the platform integration is the capabilities to be able to accurately see all the information and all the documents, all the devices and the components that you're placing into your panel. One of the biggest hiccups that we are living by is the fact that we have a lot of error issues. We also have a lot of information that is not being specified properly, maybe some documentation and some manufacturer information for heat dissipation and so on and so forth. So the application has been made in a way to be really easy to use functionality. This is not a 3D application, not a 3D modeling tool, if you will, but basically it really permits you to design in a 3D space and giving you a high level of accuracy for documentation purposes, for manufacturing purposes as well. Sending it wire information, so of course we can produce from to information and wiring detailed data through the different conduits and the different 3D environments that we have. And of course this information not only is going to be readily available for you for generating documentation such as reports and such, but we will also be able to export this out and into a application called the Smart Wire tool. Now the Smart Wire tool, you'll be able to install it on a tablet type application, PC based, and you will be able to actually, in your shop floor for manufacturing purposes, you'll have a more detailed and accurate readout of all the information for the wires and the installation processes to follow. The benefits of this is obviously to be able to have high level of information for your shop floor team, and also, you could probably start to have some junior level shop floor team members that can actually do the work and not necessarily have a lot of papered documentation with the Sharpie pens and so on and so forth. So the idea here is to really streamline your design and get you more accurate documentation, and of course to help production to be a lot more effective and productive. So let me show you a little bit how this works. So let me just switch over to my Eplan environment. So what I have here is a prototyped panel. So I'm actually placing components into my schematic designs. From the schematic designs, of course, I'm laying my components out in a panel. In the panel views that you're seeing in front of you here, I will be able to have an accurate readout of the panel that I picked. Of course, the door will actually close. So this really has a lot of benefit when we're working in a 3D space as opposed to working in a flat 2D environment. And of course, there's going to be additional documentation information that I will be able to provide for manufacturing purposes. So let me give you a little bit of an insight on how I would proceed working in this environment. And as I mentioned, of course, here I am working in a 3D space. I do have really easy to use functions to access different areas of my panel as I'm working inside my project. And very ease of use tools, drag and drop functionality, no cumbersome, high, huge level 3D modeling applications and so on and so forth. So it's very, very, very streamlined for ease of use. So of course, as you can see here, I do have some components laid out on the backplate. And of course, the idea here is to have high-level documentation. So what we are enabling our users is to be able to accurately produce the documentation that will go for the shop floor. So in this particular case, for my 3D environment, I would like to create some 2D documentation. So what's really interesting about the application is that we can actually auto-generate that information. So if you can see here, I'm going to create a model view, just make a nice little box like that. I do have additional layouts. I do have additional panels within inside the project I'm working with, so I can actually go ahead and select from those. What I can do from those environments, I can pick out the different sections. So I can actually go and select the different objects available for me. And in this case, I'm going to pick the backplate. Of course, I can go as deep as a DIN rail if I want, and the system will automatically create that information for me. So of course, here I have a front view. I can choose different available views that the system will auto-generate for me. And of course, I can even go as far as telling the system to auto-dimension this information for me. So if I have some components that I want to automatically dimension, this information will automatically be generated into the system. Now, the beauty about this is that all this that you're generating here from a 3D view is time consumption in a 2D environment with archaic tools that are very graphically based. So this information that automatically gets created gives you high level of quality, and also decreases the time that you spent creating this manually. So a lot of customers really appreciate this, and they really enjoy the fact that this is such an easy to use tool. Of course, I can generate documentation for my panel. So part list for my, for all the components that are in my backplate. If I generate this and just create a list that sticks to my mouse, I can drop it in there, and as you can see, I'm having a lot of detailed information rapidly, very easily done, and obviously the project lifecycle now is cut in half and then some. All right. As I mentioned, when you're designing in a 3D space, what are also some of the benefits for our users? So, of course, we have to take in consideration that we have some drilling information. There's some drilling data that a lot of these components have, and the benefit of that is that I can actually view those. So on here under view, I can actually tell the system, show me the drilling information, and as you can see, I got all the drilling data as I'm laying down my components. Different color codes will specify maybe if there are threaded holes or tapped holes and so on and so forth. So the benefit of this, again, very ease of use functionality. As you're dropping your components, you're getting a lot of detailed information working for you in the background. Fill capacity for these wire ducts, channel filters for the wire ducts as well, to let the system know I would like certain wires to go through certain certain channels and so on and so forth. So huge gain as you're using a tool and you're laying these components down. So if I continue here, of course I'm working on my design, and I'm going to be creating, I want to add another drive. So here, what I have is I'm just going to place a drive. I got some device navigator. This is my unplaced VFD that I'd like to place. And of course, as we mentioned, in all our platform components, drag and drop is the name of the game. So drag and drop functionality, just pull it out. Macro sticks to my mouse. I can hit the tab key to cycle through the different macro variants available. And of course, all this, as you can see, is such easy functionality. So for drafting and for documentation, this is just walk in the park. So as I lay this component down, that information is placed. The component information is ready for me. And if I go into my cabinet, I can now grab that component and place it. So here I can go to my VFD section. I do have that VFD I just placed in my electrical environment. When I drag and drop it out, that component sticks to my mouse. Another benefit that we have, of course, in the 3D environment is mounting clearance. Manufacturer specification of components might state that there's some heat dissipation that I need to abide by, and a lot of us have a tendency of forgetting this information. And of course, it's crucial for our design processes, because a lot of times we forget this, and all of a sudden we get a call from the shop floor guys that are infuriated about the fact that I didn't do this right, and there's some space requirements that haven't been taken into consideration by me. So Eplan is taking care of that for me. And as you can see, I can also activate my collision check. And when I do so, even the zone or the area in which I'm not allowed to place any other components, the system automatically gives me a red flag letting me know, hey, you can't place this here. So even if I click on my mouse, it's not going to let me place it. So again, error, one of our main criteria is to make sure that you guys don't have any error issues in the long run. So as I go ahead and place this component down, again, as I mentioned earlier, the component comes in with part information. This part information contains not only heat dissipation information, it again shows you the drilling data. So as I laid that component down, I got the drilling data for that component to be placed. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, I do have detailed documentation here that I'm creating, automatically generating some 2D panel views. As you can see also, since I placed the component, I have a model view that is not up to date. There's a little message letting me know. So a lot of embedded automated features and functions that really make your design experience that much more fruitful. So here, if I go ahead and insert graphics and 2D drill views, I can even add here some drilling information for manufacturing purposes. And again, huge benefit in this aspect where all this information that you're just clicking, dragging, selecting from options, very ease of use, menu options available, automated functions for dimensioning, and so on and so forth. All these benefits that you are that you're having in the ease of use functions are saving you time. And of course, in our day and age, time equals money. So here, as you can see, I got drilling information. I got information that is not updated here and here for my my VFD and so on and so forth, but very easily I can actually just update the documentation. So the platform information that is transferring data from my Pro Panel environment to my P8 environment, as you can see, walk in a park information, a lot of detailed functionality that I can use, and so on and so forth. So as I mentioned as well, one of the benefits of having the drilling information is that we can create manufacturing data. We can actually send this drilling information out to some manufacturing, so some NC platforms. So if you have one of these machines in house, great. If you don't, maybe a water jet cutter, maybe a laser jet cutter. These are things that we can actually export in different file formats that the machines can read. Now, obviously, if you don't have a machine and you're growing in your processes, another benefit that you have to gain is to create a drilling template. So all this drilling information that is being produced will be available for you as a drilling template in a PDF format that you can print on a plotter, and of course you'll be able to drop this on a backplate and drill away. I've seen personally, shop floor guys walking around with Sharpie pens and masking tape, and again, this is time consumption. So as you can see, what we're really benefiting from is to give our users the capability of reducing their time and, of course, reducing their costs, making this application just that much more wonderful. As you can see here, if I'm just going to remove my drill views, so I do have some components that are placed. I can select a component and I can route that component. The system will automatically route that component based on my schematic information. So obviously in my schematics, these two components are tied together. That route is going to be created. What are the benefits? The wire information in the 3D space is taken in consideration the length. So that information is crucial to me because when I'm ordering wire reels and so on and so forth, usually what's happening nowadays is a lot of users are eyeballing it. So they're just ordering, hey, we need so much wire, and a lot of the times we find that we over exceeded the amount. So this is copper, and copper is money again. So here we can get a more accurate reading, and also taking in consideration bending radiuses and also cross-section and diameter information. We're really getting that much closer to the actual reading that's going to happen once you drop this information down in your panel. So, and as well, from generating all this wire or this routed information, so if I automatically route the whole panel, a lot of information coming in, and of course, I can actually send this information out to wire fabrication for wire fabrication machines. So as you can see, the Pro Panel application is not only working for you by giving you cleared, you know, data and clear vision of your product and clear documentation, but it's also communicating with other components, with other aspects of your design processes. Now, from the wire information that we've created and generated from the system, we can go into the project section and publish this project. The published project will be available to be opened in our Smart Wire application. So here I can go to Start Project. I got my Smart Wire application. The benefits of this and the vision that we have is ideally to have some tablets replace paper. So a lot of information, you know, that you have available in your project, if we have it in a tablet environment, we will be able to benefit from, you know, all the options that we have, as opposed to going through, you know, manual paperwork where we have Sharpie pens and we're laying this information down everywhere. Sitting in the shop floor, and I can look at it in different views, different angles. I can zoom in and zoom out. So huge benefit here again, because now, as opposed to just going through schematic sheets on a piece of paper, I have really a virtual view of the finished product. And of course, here, as I select the different wires that need to be placed, I have 58 wires that need to be placed. I can filter wires. I can actually filter by gauge if I need to. If I can actually filter by color. Today, I only have the black reel, so I can select all the black wires. So huge benefit that you have to gain here, because this is information that if you're using the common way, just paper and a pen, these are options that you don't have available. So again, time is money. We're helping you save time. Therefore, we're helping you save money. Now here, if I grab a wire and I select it, the system automatically shows me the route. And based on that route, I have some detailed information about length. I have detailed information about the component and the pin that it's supposed to be connected to. If I want to have a clear view of that first pin that I need to connect, I can click on this button here, and it's going to show me, okay, you got to connect that into this component here. And if I click on this other one, you got to drop that wire on that component right there as well, giving me direction information, giving me length. Once I have screwed this wire into my component, I can select here, and the status will change to I'm actually this wire has been completed. And once I finish screwing this wire in the from to location, now my status changes, and now this wire has been completed and done. Of course, you can filter by different statuses, so you can see those wires that were, you know, worked upon, and we can also see, you know, all the wires that are left or available that need to be installed, and so on and so forth. Of course, here, what we can do is we can update project if any changes were made or modified within the Eplan environment. We can bring it into the SmartWire application. We can export this information out, and so on and so forth. So huge, huge, huge value in the easy-to-use functionality of this tool. All right. Now, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to open the floor for some questions. And we can go ahead and answer any questions you guys might have. You have a chat feature that you can in this WebEx, and we can start taking a look at some of those questions now. So go ahead, don't be shy. I won't bite. All right. Keep in mind, again, the benefit here is to be able to have you know, ease of use functionality. So here's a question that someone is asking about: do I need extensive 3D application experience? And this is again the key effectiveness of our tool is that you don't actually you don't have to have, you know, SolidWorks experience, NX, and so on and so forth. These are great tools, but our tool is meant for ease of use functionality for 3D panel design. And of course, again, drag and drop functionality, a lot of mounting aids. As you can see here, I got a DIN rail. If I want to shorten that DIN rail, all I have to do is just select my function to change length, select my object, and then just shorten it any which way I want, stretch it any which way I want. I even have mounting aids. If I select the lip right here, it's going to actually click on, snap to it. I can drop it, and I'm done. So very easy to use functionality for the common folk. Okay, so let me just answer a few questions. And I think here we lost the audio in the SmartWire tool. Can you show how to get the screen from the beginning? So for the SmartWire tool, and if you guys don't hear me, let me know. All right. So here you can let me know in the chat. So if I start the SmartWire application, and here I do a continue project, and I guess they lost the video as well. And here, if I select my project, so I'm working on the project right now in the SmartWire environment. If anyone can see the screen, just let us know through the chat. This will help us greatly. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so don't know what happened there. Maybe some technical difficulties, and but again, as I mentioned earlier, what we have here is the capability or the benefit to see the panel project in a 3D environment within inside a tablet application. And basically what you can do here is you can, you look at it in different views, zoom in, zoom out, filter options for the wires that need to be dropped into the schematic. I can select a particular wire. It's going to show me the route, and I can select where I need to screw this first one. I can tell the system this one's done, where I'm going to screw the other one, and I can go ahead and tell the system this one's done as well, status changes, and so on and so forth. All right, and again, as I stated earlier, you can update the project if there are changes that have been made, and we can, export information out and so on and so forth, right? So let's take a look back at some of the questions that you have. So for dimensioning, is that the, where's the, the fill capacity, so fill gradient for cable ducts. So yes, of course, the fill capacity that we have here is if you select the wire duct, you can specify based on the cross-section diameter of this wire duct, you can tell the system to warn you at certain levels. And whoops, I had my function available. And once you have that done, once you've specified that information, here under, if we go under view, we have the capability under connections to show the fill capacity. And of course, depending on the different available space, it will let me know. Also, I can tell the system to calculate that fill capacity level. If you're looking for a dimensioning tool, so I'm answering to the question, I have a ruler or graphic resource to lease with correct spaces between components and channels. I believe the question that is asked is the capability of measuring. So I can grab here measure, and I can state here I'm going to grab from this point to that point here, let's say, what's the distance, it's going to give me that information. Now, of course, bear in mind that the dimension information functionality is auto-generated by the system. You do have dimensioning tools that you can manually grab, and you can actually dimension all that by yourself. You can give dimensions settings to let the system know I want to display 2 units, millimeter and inch, I want dimensions and fractions, and so on and so forth. So you do have huge control over this, and you can specify this in the system as well. specified questions about collision checks. Of course, as we stated, we have the different views available for mounting clearance that we can state. For the collision check, we do have a collision check function that will enable, once it's enabled, when you're placing components down that might have some heat dissipated zones, as I demonstrated earlier with the VFD, it will not permit you to place that component inside that area. So huge, huge, huge benefit. A lot of errors are going to be corrected within this view. So just a few minutes left. What I'd like to inform you as well is that we do have a 4 o'clock show, which is Eplan and Cition's engineer for mechatronic collaboration with Peter, who will will give you some information about this and talk to you a little bit more in depth. Very, very, very interesting tool. I highly recommend it. This is an application that's going to hugely benefit and really change how we see things, how we see engineering today. So I highly, highly recommend it. Again, as I stated earlier, if you do have some questions, please feel free to contact us via the chat. Also, please feel free to go into the virtual fair environment and select the chat options to communicate and send us information there. We do have some colleagues on site that will be able to give you additional data on the information that is required. Of course, my name is Sergio Brinkhaus. It was my pleasure to show this to you guys. I hope I can express the love that I have for this application and show you the ease of use functionality, and hope you guys will enjoy it just as much as I do. All right? Thank you again for attending, and we'll be talking soon.